Okay, so let me just explain the crap that I just figured out because this honestly is kind of insane. Like, I think it's probably the worst tech issue that I've had to deal with personally because of how dumb it was. And it's not even my fault. That's why it's so dumb. So here, I'm in my BIOS right now. And what I want to do is there's a setting that I've been using and I've been trying and stuff called the well, it actually matter. Okay, you can only see it if I change it to here. I won't need to change it, but it's there. IGD multi-monitor. So right now this computer has an integrated graphic card called the IGD for integrated graphics display, I guess. And an external one, it's my AMD right now. My AMD card. Now, you can select the one that you want to use as the boot one, which is will be used for displaying this and other very basic stuff in my Linux. Now, normally this doesn't matter to most people. I mean, you choose whichever one you feel like or you're using mainly, and that's what you do. But my use case is pretty special. See, I have a virtual machine, and that VM, there's not really a good way to get accelerated graphics. I mean, there are ways, but they aren't good enough for what I want. Where you are essentially doing what's called a pass-through, where you're allowing the VM to take control of the GPU at the trade-off that your host computer, so this machine right now, is not able to use it. It's only reserved for the VM on boot. Now, if I wanted to mess with things, this setting, so normally this doesn't matter. The one that you choose, it doesn't matter because the way it works is as long as your monitors and stuff that you use at your host is plugged into the other GPU, that's fine. Linux will boot, it will see the GPU, everything is fine. However, there's a bug, I consider it a bug, in this BIOS that it made this matter, but in the dumbest way possible. So, for context, in the past, I was messing with these settings because I was like, just wanted to check them. Now, this normally only changes the graphics card that you use to see this BIOS and other basic stuff. It doesn't change anything else. Now, if I select the integrated graphics, that's really all I need. Don't worry about the setting, it's not important. So here I would just boot to integrated graphics and it's pretty straightforward. Things get complicated when you select the external one. I don't know why they call it PEG, it's just the external graphics card. Now you have an option called IGD multi-monitor. From what I understand, what this setting is supposed to do, because it doesn't just do that, we'll talk about why. It is supposed to say, do you allow your GPU, your integrated graphics, to be used as a multi-monitor setup with your external GPU? I mean, you might want that. So I guess they just have the option if you want to enable support for it. That's fine by me. The thing that's not fine is it does more than that. So I'm not going to actually commit the change because all I need to do is just to show you what would, because every time you try to click this X button right there, it will show you a summary of what you change and a confirmation if you are sure you want to apply these changes. Now, if I do this, so right now, it was on IGD, I changed it to PEG, and this guy just got there. Now, if I do this, it just changes the graphics thingy. That's fine. So, but here's the thing. This will work. Like, it will work as you would expect. You'll boot on external graphics, and you'll be able to use your thing with multi-monitor. That's fine. However, remember that my setup involves booting into a GPU and reserving the other one for control. And it turns out that I had a reason I would like my host to use my external graphics, but my VM to use my integrated one. Because I don't use my VM that much, but I still want it to get like very basic 3D acceleration. So my integrated graphics is plenty for this. And I could just keep my better GPU for everything else. So that's what I wanted to do. And you can actually do this with the CPU I have. The problem is, you would think you would want to set the graphics to external, and this, I mean, you'll disable it, or you wouldn't think this would matter actually, but you could leave this disabled. Here's the problem though. Here's what this actually does if I go here. You see? I changed my graphics to external, that's fine. And then the third line, I disabled multi-monitor, that's also fine. Why? What is internal graphics enabled to auto? I never did this change. And what's strange is they have a search feature where you can search your settings. And if I start to type the settings, it's not there. What the frick is this? Okay, that's unrelated. But yeah, we saw this setting earlier. There's nothing. And just to be sure, I'll type graphics. That's a setting that we saw earlier. So what's happening here is, I don't know why they did this, and I consider this a bug because this is stupid. Disabling this implicitly changes a setting that you cannot see. And here's the problem. What I think that setting was, that was the internal graphics one, I think it's just a setting to say, do you enable the internal graphics card? And now it says auto, but in my experience, I think it actually disables it. I can't know that for sure because their menu is so garbage, but I think that's what's happening, is that it's going to disable the integrated graphics. And the reason I know this is because if I were to boot with these settings right now, I would not even be able to see the integrated graphics. Like, I would list the PCI devices and I would not see it. The only way for me to see it is I have to enable this. The problem though is that this settings actually conflicts with what I want. Now, I don't know why it's made like this, and it seems a bit weird, but from what I understand, what this setting actually does is it allows your BIOS to take control of your iGPU, probably so that it can use it with your DGPU. I'm not sure. Anyway, the point is that it changes the type of devices that your GPU will be. And that matters for what I want, because if it's the type of device that this would be, if you put it on enabled, my pass-through will not work. It only works if the BIOS does not have control over that GPU. So, I actually want this disabled to do what I want. But there's no way for me to, like, here's the problem. If I were to apply this, I'm forced to change internal graphics. There's no way for me to say, keep the internal graphics enabled, but disable the multi-monitor crap. What the, and okay, so this was the issue. So already this took me like hours today and an all-nighter yesterday, whatever. Point is, it took a while to solve. Now, this alone is very frustrating that I figured out that this was the problem. Because the solution is actually very easy. You just always boot to the iGPU. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the one that you boot from for what I want it to do. It's just that the problem is if I leave it to external, now it starts to matter, but not because of what I want it to do. It's just a mess. But here's where this gets way worse. Okay, let me turn the camera. Okay, sorry about that. So here's the tale. When I was messing with passthrough, I didn't know how this stuff worked. I had to read guides and stuff like that. There's some very well-written guide, but here's the thing. Some of the guides, they don't necessarily explain you the finest detail because some are assumed to be self-explanatory. This quirk that I just told you made me misunderstand something fundamental about what this setting does. The initiate graphics adapter, it made me misunderstand something fundamental. Because you have to imagine, like I just told you the answer, but you have to imagine I don't know this yet. Let's say, so what I used to do is, I used to do a different thing. I wanted to boot from integrated, I wanted to use my integrated graphics on my host, but pass the external one. Well, now this matters, because here's what would happen. If I was booting on IGD, everything was fine. But if I was booting on this guy, now this is a problem. Because if I leave this disabled right there, now my PC can no longer receive a picture. Because what would happen is, it will boot, and because of this stupid, stinky bug, my iGPU will not be seen by my PC, and my DGPU is reserved. So the PC is going to try to boot and be like, I don't know what to display, so nothing happens and bad things happen. So you have to leave this enabled. But this, in the past, has caused me some problems. And I wasn't sure why. I was getting the most random crap. This was before I had my current GPU. This was when I had my 5600 XT. I would get issues like monitors that are invisible, or just monitors that black screen. It was the weirdest thing ever. So I wanted to avoid using the setting, but I couldn't leave it on disable. So the way I solved it is every time I needed to change, if I wanted to go back on my GPU or my integrated GPU or dedicated one, I just changed this all the time. Because in my head, this matters because I was led to believe, oh, you need to select the GPU that you're going to use in your Linux session. Yeah, that makes sense. Because what else am I supposed to believe? Like, this thing works if I'm not passing my DGPU, but it doesn't if I'm passing it. So naturally, I was led to believe the opposite, that this doesn't work if you try to pass the iGPU. However, that's wrong. Because what's happening is, because of this stupid bug, I was led to believe, and I'm not joking when I say this, for years, about how these two work. All because of a stupid bug. And I'll even demonstrate just to show you how terrible it is. It's normal, by the way, that you're going to see me flicker around with my other monitor. My setup is a bit weird right now. This was just to figure stuff out. So I'm going to put to boot on iGPU, and you're going to see everything will be fine. So, what the frick is this bullshit? Why does it change to auto? It did tell you to change. What is this bull crap? Do I have to put this enabled? Then put this to IGD. You have not made any change. What is this bull crap? That's the dumbest whatever. I'll just leave it down to be sure, but anyway, we'll see it boot. So right now my things are booting up. So you should see the... There we go. You saw it briefly. That was my BIOS screen. I don't remember what monitor it will use. Oh, this one. Okay. So I won't actually boot into my session. I'll use a terminal just to show you what exactly I'm supposed to be seeing. Don't worry about the sound. I don't know why it does that. I think it's some kind of... I think my USB hub is doing it. Anyway, it's going to stop. There we go. Okay. So I won't actually log in. What I will do, and this is going to be weird to do this one-handed, I have to press Ctrl, Alt, and F2 in like one hand. Come on. Okay, got it. Okay, it's done this one. Okay, let me log in real quick as a root. Okay, so I will do a LSPCI, which lists my PCI devices. Now, if you look closely, come on, focus, focus. Come on, you can do this. What happens if I... Okay, look, I mean, you can kind of see it. Like, you see where it says VGA compatible controller? That's the type of device that I need to pass the GPU. Now, this one is the integrated, and there's one a bit down. That's my dedicated. So right now, this PC sees both GPUs right now. Everything is fine. Everything will work. Now, let me reboot, and I will show you what the other setting does, so that you understand why this is... This is just so dumb. Okay, I think I entered it. There we go. So, let's go back. Let's change this to external. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to put this disabled, which will implicitly tell me, oh, you're now on auto. Okay? On our internal graphics, the option that I cannot see. Now, I think this is going to use the other monitor, because I have one monitor plugged into one GPU, then the other in the other. So that I can... Oh, it's going on to be on this one. I just saw it. So right now I'm booting on my AMD GPU. My Intel one is still not usable because of the things I've done. Okay, I need to do this word command. One sec. This word. 1 second. Did I got it? Oh, okay. We have a prompt. Okay. Same deal. LSPCI. Now, you're going to see that 02 that you saw last time. It's no longer there. I still see my my AMD GPU, but you will not see any Intel UHD graphics or whatever. You will not see any of this here. So right now, I cannot use the GPU because it's disabled. So, now, let's see what happens when I put this IGD monitor, whatever, to on, and you're going to see it again in the settings. It's going to change that hidden setting back. Whoop. Was I fast enough? I was not fast enough. It's fine, I'll just reboot manually. So you have to press the delete key fast enough. That's why you hear me mashing when it boots. Okay. Oh, definitely fine. Okay. Now we go here. And we go here. Why does it not? Oh, I'm dumb. Sorry. No. Okay. What the? Let's just move on. Anyway, you see internal graphics goes to enabled. Again, no clue why. So what this setting will do is I will see both GPU. And you might be thinking, that's fine. But actually, that iGPU is going to be seen as a different device. So if you're just using your PC normally, like you're not doing shenanigans like this, probably you wouldn't even notice this issue if you were even on the same distribution than me, which is this is an Arch Linux right now. Okay, again, SPCI. Now, you see that 02, but here it doesn't say VGA controller. It says display controller. Bottom one still says VGA controller. It turns out, you might think they're the same. They're not. The VGA controller is just a graphics card that spits out frame. It works as you would expect. The display one, however, it's kind of like an interface to my BIOS which controls the graphics. It's the weirdest thing, and I'm not even sure the person that was assisting me in solving this issue was understood what exactly this was doing. But from what I understand, this is not the same kind of graphics, and because of this, that pass-through that I tried that I talked about earlier was not working. So yeah, I need to change it back, but I'm done explaining. So you saw how weird this was? For years, I didn't understood it because MSI's dumb BIOS couldn't figure out how to expose a setting and how to not change it when you change an unrelated one. So yeah, it was pretty frustrating to figure out that I wasted hours of my time for years because of this stupid bug, and it made me misunderstand how something works. At least I'm glad I figured it out because I can fix all my issues that I've been having with passthrough all these years. But yeah, this was kind of a mess, and I felt like ranting, so I decided I might as well record it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. If you're curious, by the way, in case someone finds this video and has a similar issue, this is my motherboard and my config. Is there anything else? No, not really. That's about what you would need to know here. So yeah, not sure. I mean, the last update they had was months ago. I don't think they'll fix this bug. This board is honestly quite old. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess I hope you like this rant. Bye-bye.